You're watching the Daily Climate Show on Sky News. On today's programme, the government launches the UK's first hydrogen strategy to transform the way we power our lives. But how green is it? The US declares the first ever water shortage at the country's largest reservoir as drought pushes water levels to a record low. And the environmentalists cleaning up lakes in India. Hello and welcome to the UK's only daily climate news show. And we start today at our data dashboard. And you can see here on the top line where electricity in Great Britain is currently coming from. And you can see there that 33% is coming from fossil fuels, 49% from renewables and 18% from nuclear. Well, hydrogen isn't on there because currently only around 1% of electricity is produced by it. But that could soon change. The government's new hydrogen strategy has been published today, suggesting that hydrogen could make up 1/3 of our energy mix by 2050. Their proposal aims to burn hydrogen as an alternative to oil, gas and coal to encourage the use of low-carbon fuel and cut greenhouse gas emissions. But campaigners say the new plans to make hydrogen from fossil fuels is not completely green. Well, our science correspondent Thomas Moore is here to explain. Thomas.
Hydrogen is the invisible fuel of the future, but how it's made really matters to the planet, and the production method has a colour code. Grey hydrogen makes up the majority of current production. It's made from natural gas or other fossil fuels using a process called steam methane reforming, and it generates carbon dioxide and methane emissions. Blue hydrogen is made in the same way, but technology is used to capture most, but not all, of the carbon dioxide emissions for storage underground or under the sea. In theory, this should mean it is less polluting than grey hydrogen, but a recent study has found that the production of blue hydrogen is far from green due to the release of some methane. Green hydrogen is zero carbon. It's made by using wind or solar to split water into hydrogen and oxygen gases. But it's currently an inefficient process and there's nowhere near enough spare renewable capacity at the moment to make the huge amounts of hydrogen we will need. In its new hydrogen strategy, the government wants to incentivise low carbon production, and to meet the definition is considering a target of 54 to 72 grams of carbon dioxide for every kilowatt of energy, roughly 1/3 of the emissions from burning natural gas. Now, many environmentalists would argue it's a pretty soft target and it's better to find a way of making hydrogen with zero emissions to sustainably fuel heavy industry, buses, lorries, as well as heating homes.
And Thomas, what are the cost implications for consumers if we were to move towards hydrogen?
So the consultation released today says that the costs could be loaded onto consumers through energy bills, just as they were in the early days of wind energy when it's very expensive. But as it was scaled up, the efficiencies came and the cost of wind energy is now about the same as any other fossil fuel. So that's the hope with hydrogen, that by putting the load on to consumers at the beginning, it would slowly come down. Ultimately, hydrogen would be an extremely cheap way of fueling the future. So a cost for the consumers now, but probably not in the long term.
Thomas, thank you. Well, don't forget, you can see a more detailed breakdown of the real-time power mix in Great Britain on our website. Head over to skynews.com/climate. In today's other climate news, several people have needed to be rescued from floodwaters in Germany after sudden and heavy rain. The flooding caused a wooden bridge in the Valley of Hell in Bavaria to be swept away. Severe weather conditions also led to a state of emergency in northern Germany, where a storm destroyed more than 50 homes. And in France, thousands of people have been evacuated to escape wildfires. Firefighters are tackling fires in the French Riviera that are threatening homes and tourist spots. It follows fierce forest fires that have swept across northern Africa and Europe in recent weeks. And a chalk stream that feeds into the Norfolk Broads will be the focus of a £1.6 million conservation project. The National Trust, who are leading the project, said there are just 200 chalk streams left in the world. It's hoped the project, that will create corridors for wildlife, will help Britain's fastest declining mammal, the water vole. Now to the US, where officials have declared the first ever water shortage at Lake Mead, the country's largest reservoir. A prolonged drought across the West has led to record low water levels there. So let's take a look at what's happening then today. Now, this is the US Drought Monitor, and you can see here that large areas in the West are bright red and dark red. Now, these are the places experiencing extreme and exceptional drought. Lake Mead is in one of those red areas running through Arizona and Nevada. Water levels are at the lowest point since the 1930s when the reservoir was first filled. So, what's going on?
There's no doubt that climate change is real. We're experiencing it every day in the Colorado River Basin and in other basins in the West.
Every community, every sector, every industry that uses Colorado River water must do more to conserve and protect this critical water resource.
Well, joining me now is Jennifer Pitt, Colorado River Programme Director for the environmental organisation, the National Audubon Society. Welcome to you. So Lake Mead's water levels have been declared critically low for the first time. So how concerning is that? What impact will that have? Am I right in thinking that agriculture and drinking water are perhaps amongst the most pressing concerns?
This is a serious concern, but it's not unexpected. We've been watching the lake levels decline for most of the last 20 years. I think the biggest concern is not what we do about shortages to water users, as you said, to farmers and perhaps some others in the short term, but we have no reason to think that these drought conditions are going to ease up in the long term. We hope that they do, but the warming means that we could be facing these kind of shortages year after year. And that's the biggest concern.
Well, yes, and what impact do the shortages have?
Well, this year or the coming year, what we expect is for the shortages to largely be borne by farmers in central Arizona and in Mexico. And so there will be some reduction in agricultural productivity in those regions.
And can anything be done about it?
Well, in Arizona, they are working on a mitigation plan that includes releasing water from local reservoirs, some market transfers where actually people who use water who are willing to forego their uses are selling it to allow the farmers to have access to some of it. And they are also going to allow those farmers to return to pumping fossil groundwater, which of course will work in the short term, but is not a sustainable solution.
And what about the impact on wildlife in the area?
Well, we don't yet know. We haven't seen reductions of these kinds in the water delivery, so we haven't seen the river flowing in the way it will be next year, but we do have concern for habitat areas along the banks of the Colorado River that depend on the water flowing by to remain healthy. And so we will be keeping a close eye on it. And as I said, these are conditions that we expect to persist. And so as we get a better understanding of the impact on habitat areas, it may be necessary to make some investments to improve the habitat areas such that they can remain healthy at lower water levels.
Jennifer Pitt, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And the drought in California is threatening the state's $6 billion almond industry, which produces about 80% of the world's almonds. More growers are expected to abandon their orchards as water becomes scarce and expensive. Now, many of India's waterways are polluted, filled with plastic waste and raw sewage. One man working to change that is Aaron Krishnamurthy. In 2010, he quit his job at Google to set up the Environmentalist Foundation of India. Since then, the organisation has restored more than 150 freshwater lakes and ponds across the country.
Lake is a magical world in itself. To abuse and exploit a lake happens only when we don't understand its significance. We don't understand that every lake or a pond is a habitat in itself, which houses frogs, snakes, crabs, turtles, birds, so many different life forms. Human beings directly depend on underground water source. So a lake or a pond is necessary to replenish these groundwater resources. Lakes and ponds also play a big role in localized temperature regulation. Lakes and ponds need to be cleaned so that it doesn't cause any waterborne diseases to the neighboring individuals. We think we're superior because we can walk straight and talk loud, and we fail to understand that we're just one of the several species in this planet. It's not about protecting the planet anymore. It's about our life, our livelihoods, and from the urban rich to the urban poor, the divide on who gets affected by climate change. One thing which I've realized is everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to participate in planet conservation efforts. They just don't know where to begin. EFI or other organizations are platforms through which people are realizing and living their planet life.
And finally, over 500,000 seeds have been collected from healthy seagrass meadows to be planted. The Ocean Conservation Trust, who are leading the project, plan to plant a total of 4 hectares in the Solent Maritime Special Area of Conservation. Seagrass is vital for marine life and can absorb large amounts of carbon. Well, that's everything from us for today. Coming up tomorrow, meet 6-year-old climate activist Alicia Gadia, who's riding her scooter to save rainforests. Thanks for watching. See you then.